Hello everyone, it's me again. Right, it's been a long time since I've done one of these. A Folkestone Herald local newspaper review, namely because most of it can be found online and it's also £1.80, which is quite expensive. But after seeing this on the front page, maybe that's back to front, but it says living next door to prison camp. Just thought I'd read a few bits out of this for you because you can't find this online. Page 4 and 4. How does Folkestone feel about flawed and unlawful asylum processing centre? Well, I tell you how Folkestone feels. The majority of us are absolutely fed up to the back teeth of it. It's been over 2 years now and we want it shut down. But there we go. Government aren't going to do it. But it says here, stand first. 2 years in, we talk to ordinary people about Napier Barracks. It goes on about this, been since for 2 years, blah, blah, blah. Charities including Kent Refugee Action Network. Hi, Bridget, if you're watching. I've said that it's further traumatizes vulnerable and desperate people. Care Media lead Bridget Chapman said, when Napier Barracks was proposed as a site in 2020, KRAN was clear that it was deeply unsuitable to a place to house anyone, let alone people who were suffering the effects of trauma. That view was backed up by a number of official reports highlighting the unacceptable conditions in the facility. Well, if it was good enough for our soldiers, why is it not good enough for any other ones? Come on. Well, because it's not the Ritz. It's not the Savoy. Well, beggars can't be choosers, but then again, they are fleeing war-torn France, so maybe it's just a bit of a step up from the tents that they were in. Give me strength. We should be feeling very angry about this. Blah, 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 blah. Right, now here's where it comes to the local residents. They say that living next door to a prison camp, their neighbours, how did it feel about... Now, here we go. Right. And if you remember, I did that interview with Bill. Not many people want to speak up near Napier Barracks. Not many people at all. Because they don't want their film, they don't want their face on camera. You know, I said even in audio, no, they're scared. They're scared. Fundamentally, they are scared. Let's have a little read about what these residents say. Russell Trevors, who has lived in the area for 16 years, said, I would prefer them not to be here, really. I know they've set fire to it, but I don't really know anything about it. Mate, there were lots of arrests and no one was charged. They used bed sheets and petroleum and woof, they destroyed a 200-year-old military building with a lot of history. God knows how many thousands of soldiers have actually stayed there, posted there, billeted there, lost their lives. That was probably the last place they ever stayed. But no, set fire to it because we don't get our, I don't know, Happy Meal or whatever it is. When asked if he ever talked to the residents, he said, no, I see them walk up the hill with their beers when I'm walking down the hill. Seriously, I see them walking up the hill with their beers when I'm walking down the hill. I thought that if you're a Muslim, you're not allowed to drink. Or is it just because you've invaded a country, that's your celebration time? Get off. Sometimes in the evening, I walk down to Sandgate for a beer and you see them and they come the other way and they're buying tins of beers, I guess, in the shop. They're all lads. Well, yeah. Where's the women and children? Ding. Matthew Collins, 32, moved to the area 2.5 years ago, and while he initially thought that the original plan was a good idea, he said the barracks weren't set up to accommodate so many people. He added, and obviously they've had issues with living conditions and amenities, all that sort of stuff. On paper it looked like a good idea, but it hasn't turned out very well. No, Sherlock. Obviously there's been a fire. Obviously there's been a fire. They threaten to set fire to the joint constantly. That's why you've got police liaison officers up there every single day. Obviously, I think the food situation is over-exaggerated slowly because the caterers they've got in there are the same military caterers. I've served in the military and I know what food they do and it's okay. I think that's one thing that's been blown out of proportion, but I agree the living conditions are not great. Or like I said, it's not meant to be the Savoy or the Ritz. He added that when coaches arrived back in 2020 full of asylum seekers moving to Napier Barracks, they're not asylum seekers. They're not asylum seekers. An asylum seeker would seek asylum in the very first safe country that it lands to. They are illegal. What part of this don't people get? Drives me up the wall. We were taken aback a bit because I thought it was being torn down to build houses, but I didn't really have an issue with it. I've spoken to quite a few of them walking around. They're nice. We had a street party for the Jubilee and quite a few of them were invited and sat around the table and actually got involved. The only issue that I've got really is obviously big groups of them going into the field and having football games or just standing around, especially when it's dark. It looks quite ominous, but it doesn't really matter what ethnicity they are. I think that's the only issue. The amount of people in the sort of groups that they walk around with, it can be quite intimidating. Quite intimidating. Some people around here, the rough types, were not too happy about it. What, you want to include me on that one? What do you mean? You want to include Steve Laws on that one? Rough types. Yeah, the football hooligans that maraud around Napier Barracks. Or just the independent people that are just trying to highlight it. Not for any financial or political gain, just because we're concerned local residents. So stick that in your pipe and smoke it, Mr. What is it? Matthew Collins. This is a case for Chris Graham. Don't worry, I'm nearly finished. This is a case for Chris Graham, who has lived in the area for 22 years. She said she would not have been bothered if it was families. She said, if it was families with little kids, I can understand it. But they're all young blokes and they don't work. They walk around with their phones and they're nice trainers. It just angers me. If it was families with little children and we were helping them, I'm fine with it. But they're all young blokes. If they came over legally, fine. But a lot of them are coming over on those dinghies. It's not fair. The government pays out money for people like that. It's not fair. Well done, Chris Graham. Boom. Salute you. Buff. Giles Jackson, 55, said, I can't say anyone's caused any harm, but they do leave a lot of litter. Oh, he reminds me of Bill. If you remember my interview with Bill, I'll put a link in the description if you've not seen it. Lovely chap. Giles Jackson, I can't say anyone's caused any harm, but they do leave a lot of litter. I've got a dog and I go up the field across the road. They leave a lot of litter, barbecues and burn the grass. It's difficult because they must be so bored, but they haven't done any harm. They're just like me and you. They just come from a different country. It just doesn't seem like a long-term solution. Maybe they will bring something with them. Maybe they are skilled. I don't feel threatened with them. I've never really spoken with them. But if I had a daughter, here's the kicker. If I had a daughter, I might be a bit more concerned if she was out and about, but it'd be the same with anybody else. Right. I guess the other thing which goes against them is with Ukraine. You see men of Ukraine stay behind and fight. Any war is terrible. And then you see the young guys here. I think it's a lack of understanding generally. Yeah, it is a lack of understanding because they've not fled war, you complete donut. Idiots. Anyway, that is how Folkestone feels about unlawful asylum processing centre. £1.80 for that piece of puff piece. So, thanks for watching, and, side note, I'm doing well, and I will see you very soon. Okay, cheers, guys. Bye-bye.